Hey everybody, welcome back. I was out walking the dogs the other day, and as a lot of turners do, you come across pieces of wood and you think, I must take that home. Well, I came across this old crotch, which has obviously been cut down quite a while, and yeah, I picked it up and took it back to the car. Now I've cut this in half just to see what the state of the wood was inside, because I have brought home wood before which hasn't been particularly amazing, and we've got quite a nice spaltered pattern inside. So I'm going to turn a bowl from this area here. There's a little bit of rot there, so I'm going to stay well clear of that. So I'm going to get out my gauges, mark a bigger circle as I can in this area, and then cut that out with a chainsaw. There may be an inlay involved at the end, but let's get this cut, turned out, hollowed out, and see where we go from there. Okay? Right, I'll see you back in a second. Okay, well that was successful. Closer inspection, we've got some very soft wood in this area here. This little bits is all fine. So it's just mainly this area here. It's not bad enough that we're going to chuck this away before we get started, so we're going to persevere and see how we get on. I'm going to use a faceplate for this because I want it nice and secure on the lathe. If there's any doubt to the wood that you're turning, then a faceplate with multiple screws is always going to be better than a single worm screw. So get this on and get it trued up and see if it's worth me carrying it back for. Off. Sometimes you pick up old pieces of wood and bring it back and it's absolute gold and it's an amazing piece to turn. Sometimes you pick others up and bring them back and it's just basically exercise. So, but if you do it often enough, then the chances are you're going to hit lucky. Okay, we've got it on the lathe. Now you can tell that it's got a much thicker here than it is this side, so this is going to wobble. So I'll turn the lathe down low and turn it on. Yeah, got a bit of a wobble there. I've got two choices: either just take a little bit of this weight out of this bit here, or I can just live with it and turn this bit first just to get the weight a bit more evenly balanced. I've also got quite a soft bit on this side, but hopefully that's going to turn away. I don't think it's going to be particularly deep, but again we'll find out as we go along. So anyway, let's see how it goes. I've sharpened up, so I'll get started. Feel some very soft pieces going through, nice and hard on this side. this. We'll keep going. Got about 4-5 inches depth, so we've got plenty of wood to work with. Okay. This doesn't look to be going too deep, this soft bit here. I'll just grab something to stick in. Yeah, that's not very deep at all, so and the wood up here is fine. So we're going to be able to turn that away without any real problems at all, which is good. Right, so I'm just going to move out a little bit. Try this a little bit more round. That's the rotten bit. I'm nearly all the way through it, which is good. This area is going to be an issue for tear out, but we should be able to combat that. That's the last of the bark. Okay, we're pretty much getting to the place where we need to start deciding the kind of shape we want. Mask. Just flatten off the base a little bit more. I think base into about there. Maybe just slightly fluted on the edge. I haven't done one like that for a while. So flat to about there, then in, and then out to the side. Let's see if we can make that happen. Get this flat first. Still not quite past that horrible bit there. Dear. That one goes in a lot more than I initially thought. This unfortunately is one of the issues you have when you're bringing home strays that you don't know where they've been. Let's have a little play. Let's have a dig out. See if we can figure out what our options are. I'm just going to turn this down a bit further to a final shape, and then we can have a real good dig at that. Okay. Let's have another dig. I'm just gonna don't think this little attachment I've got under my Dremel is going to do much, but now I need something a little bit more. Oops, need something a little more deliberate than that. So I'm just going to get a different attachment from a Dremel, so we can start. Right, I've got a router bit, which is very deliberate. Not really designed for this, but it'll make a nice short work of the job, and then we can use something else to clean up the hole after. Certainly made short work of that. Right, I don't think we're all the way through the rot depth-wise, but the rest we can get when we're at the other side, hollowing out. The main thing is the area around it is okay. Right. So we're going to fill it. What should we fill it with? Could fill it with pewter. Trouble with having pewter on the edge or something, it knocks out the balance when you're spinning it. When I lay this on, so you'll have a wobbly bowl for now and forever. So it's going to be resin. So I was going to get that prepared and we'll mix up some resin. Okay, I've got some 2-part epoxy here. So we'll mix this up in equal measures. I think I'm just going to use the whole tub. Now this isn't clear epoxy, but the colour I've chosen doesn't really need to be. Whew. That's an interesting smell. Right, the colour is orchid. Obviously my mind went to, should I do a nice copper or gold or a black, but yeah, why not? At least my daughter will approve. Quite a hint of blue in there as well. This is going to be an interesting contrast. Right, because I'm on a curve on this edge, I'm going to be putting tape over this as soon as I put this resin in, which means I'm not going to get much chance to use my heat gun to get out the bubbles. So there may be a little bit of topping up at the end. So the initial layers I'm going to try and push as much into the hole as possible. Right, now before that starts to run all over the place, quickly get some tape. Oh, did that badly. And push it in from the edges. Give it a bit of room to go at the top. But that should hold it. Right, we'll let that just make doubly sure on the edges. I'll let this sit for the night, and we'll come back in the morning and have a look. Hi there, welcome back. Well, it's the next day. I did come in last night to have a quick look how it was getting on, and the tape had melted. That was on touching the epoxy, which is quite strange. I've never seen that happen before with this 5-minute stuff. I've never used this type before, but it's quite interesting. Right, anyway, let's see how it cleans up. Right, let's quickly sharpen the gouge again. Oh wow, that's like Swiss cheese. Looks like it's had some kind of reaction. And produced an awful lot of air pockets inside it. I shall not be using any more of this stuff. It's nice and firm, but that is horrible. What shall I do? Right, I'm going to try and fix this by putting board underneath. I'm just going to put some of the powder into the holes and then fill with a CA glue. Then hit it with a bit of activator, and that should hopefully fill it. But one thing for certain, I'm not going to be buying any more of this resin. Come on. What shall I do with you? I haven't used this stuff before, so do it. Let's go for teal. Teal is my lucky colour. Well, hard to say a colour's lucky, but right, now before this starts to run everywhere, we'll repeat the same process as we did last time. Right, see you again in a little while. Now we've filled it again, we've still got a dirty great hole there. I have no idea how that happened, but it's not going to be a problem because I've had this piece sitting on the lathe for a few days now, and every time I walk past it I keep on thinking to myself, I do not like that shape. It looks a bit like a pork pie hat upside down, so I'm going to change it. Slightly more conventional bowl shape, but I can't stand looking at this anymore, so I'm not going to worry about this hole for the moment. Once I've reshaped it, if that hole's still a problem, then we'll deal with it then. So let's get started. Shape's starting to look a little bit nicer. If you remember when I was taking out the last lot and putting a new one in, I managed to catch the bowl a couple of times with the Dremel, so I need to get rid of those, and hopefully by the time I've got those out, that dip. Okay, there is a little bit still there, but I'm not worried about that because we're going to texture this bowl. Now, this isn't the greatest piece of wood in the world, so in order to try and make more than what it actually is, I'm going to use some small burrs and create a pattern over the entire bowl, and then I'm going to colour it. A lot of people screaming that you don't colour spalted, but it's not going to be a solid colour. It's going to be you're still going to be able to see the grain through it quite happily, but I'm going to match that colour so it all fits in together. Right, I'm going to cut the recess ready, and then we'll get the bottom finished up, and then we'll start texturing. Worry about the base a little bit later on. Right, I'm just going to change the bit in my Dremel, get myself a mask, and then we'll start. Okay, right, for this we're going to use a sanding attachment. Start, point down, and then just drag back a little bit. I'm going to do that over the whole surface. We'll see how we get on. Now the vacuum's going to be on, my mask's going to be on, it's going to get noisy, so just sit back, put a plug in your ears, I'll see you in a little while. Now that was a task, but I think it's turned out quite nicely. Right, I'm going to take a little break. When I come back, we'll sand this as smooth as we can. A fair bit of hand sanding I would think on this, and then we'll get to colouring. Right, before we can put any colour on, I'm going to need to do a considerable amount of hand sanding. It's going to be a mix of hand sanding and with the lathe on as well, so we'll get that started. I'll let you watch a bit and then I'll leave you to go and do something else while I finish off. Right, we'll get this started. Right, I'll keep on going like this, and I'll join you next when we put the colour on. Right, well, we've sanded up this nicely, so all cleaned off and dusted off. Let's get a quick blast. Right, now I'm going to use the same colour that I used in the teal bowl. So if you want to know more about the colours, then go and check out that video. I'm going to put it on with a paper towel. Obviously I'm using rubber gloves for this. Right, I think, with it not being a smooth surface, I'm going to go and find a sponge. Didn't quite anticipate that. Right, I've just got a normal car sponge. Right, that's so much better. Squeeze it onto the sponge and then dab it into the piece. Like I say, it's not hiding the spalting in the wood, it seems to be nicely enhancing it, to be honest. This is also helping my choice of inlay colour there, so it doesn't look quite so ridiculous now. I don't know why that didn't record. Hopefully recorded some of it, but I've just used a sponge and the normal water-based wood dye that I talked about in the teal bowl video. I've just gone over and dabbed it, squeezing it on, dabbing. Hopefully some of it recorded. Don't worry, another camera solution is on its way. So I seem to be plagued with these kind of problems. Right, let that dry and see how it looks in a little bit. Okay, looking at it, I think the first coat is going to be the last coat. So we'll get this turned around and hollow out the inside. I forgot to mention before I turned it round, I would normally have put a finish on the outside at this point, but I'm thinking I'm going to use the natural finish on the inside, but the outside I'm going to lacquer it, which I don't do an awful lot of, but I think in this case I think it deserves it. It's the best way to get a shine on the outside without making a right pain for myself trying to polish it by hand. Right, face mask on. Quite hard getting in there with a camera stand in the way. Something I need to look at in the future. Okay, just about there. So we get the carbide in there, just to clean up the bottom bit. Right, negative rake scraper all sharpened up, so we'll just clean out the inside. few little bits of tear out, but nothing ridiculous. Right, just quickly go over the edge with the same tool. Right. Half of me is screaming to put an inlay in. The other half is saying, no. Who's going to win? Right, all set up for sanding. As before, I'll let you watch the first few bits and then I'll bring you back at the end. Right, after some more very, very deliberate sanding, we'll have another go at putting the sealer on. Oh, that's much better. That's one of the problems you get with spalted wood. It's organically very, very, very beautiful, but in order for the wood to spalt, it needs to be left in a damp area. So the processes can take place. Obviously, if you leave wood in a damp area, it gets soft and a little bit rotten in places, as you know from the work you have to do on the outside, so it can make the cleaning up and the sanding just that little bit harder. But we're through it, we're past it. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's as good as this one's going to get. Right, we'll let this sit and then we'll apply a Yorkshire sheen coating to the inside. Right, and then we do the outside. Okay, it's had a bit of time to set now. I've got the Hampshire sheen. I'm not sure if I just recalled it Yorkshire sheen. Right, it's definitely Hampshire sheen. So I'll give a good, nice, healthy coating inside. In case you didn't take time or you haven't seen the captions at the side of the screen, then when we reach 1,000 subscribers, we're nearly halfway there, we're going to give away a bowl. And to be in with a chance of getting a bowl, all you need to do is to subscribe to the channel, leave a thumbs up and leave a comment. That's all you have to do. Doesn't cost anything. When we get to 1,000 subscribers, one lucky person will win a bowl. I'm not quite sure which bowl yet, I haven't made it yet. I'll even let you choose. Okay, right, that's on. Pick up the speed. And buff it up. Inside's nearly done, but we're still not finished yet because we are going to apply a clear lacquer to the outside. We'll create a nice dust-free area and set it up for that. I'm not going to do it on my lathe because I've got other projects I need to work on. Here we go. Beautiful. Right, I'm just going to put a bit of isopropyl alcohol on the outside just to clean it up. Make sure I've got all the wax off the edge, because I don't want that underneath the lacquer. Actually looks quite nice. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to polish the outside. I'll apply it to the outside, but then I've got a small polishing wheel which I'll use to buff up in all the areas, because they're going to be really hard to get to when the lathe's spinning. Well, it's the right colour again on the screen. I'm guessing that doesn't mean an awful lot. Well, it means something, but goodness knows what. Right, this is going to take a while to get in here. Got to make sure I get wax into each one of these divots. Texturing wood looks fun, but you're sure making a rock for your own back. Rock for your back? Rod for your back. I'm mixing my metaphors. Beautiful. Right, I'm going to still put it on the finishing wheel, so let's get that set up. I'll see you back in a second. I might wash my hands as well. Right. There you have it. A spaltered beech bowl with resin inlay and coloured. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. It's certainly been an interesting one. We've got lots more coming up, lots of plans, and indeed something which I'm going to be doing soon, which is hopefully a world's first. So please stay tuned for that. Apart from that, thank you very much indeed for joining us, and I'll see you next time.